The first vibration was so faint that Daniel almost ignored it. After all, he had just returned from a 12-hour night shift and was exhausted, his mind still foggy from paperwork and a domestic call that dragged past dawn. But the rumble didn't stop. It grew, slow, rhythmic, like something heavy pushing through the earth. He set his coffee on the hood of his patrol car, narrowing his eyes toward the street. The noise wasn't coming from another property. It was coming from his. Daniel walked toward his driveway, confusion tightening in his chest. The morning air was still, the neighborhood quiet, the sky painted with first light. Nothing seemed out of place, until the rumble became a growl. Then a crunch, a shatter, a forceful metallic clank that was unmistakable. His heart dropped. He sprinted the rest of the way, and when he rounded the corner of his yard, he stopped dead. A bulldozer, a massive industrial machine, was inside his front fence, tearing through wooden posts like they were toothpicks. The blade carved across the lawn, flattening everything in its path. Decorative stone edging, rose bushes his mother helped him plant, the bird bath he built last summer, obliterated in seconds. The machine lurched forward again, and the front porch groaned under the pressure. Wood splintered like a scream. The railing snapped off and flew onto the grass. "Hey!" Daniel yelled, voice cracking with disbelief. "Stop! Stop the machine!" The operator didn't react, didn't even look toward him. The bulldozer roared louder, the engine straining as it angled toward the porch steps again. Daniel raced closer, waving both arms in the air. "Cut the engine! Now!" Nothing. Either the operator didn't hear him, or didn't care. Then he saw her, standing off to the left, clipboard in hand, a pair of oversized sunglasses perched on her nose like a barrier between her and reality, Linda Marsh, the HOA president. Daniel had dealt with her before. She once fined him for leaving his trash bin out 34 minutes past pickup time, but this was something else entirely. "What the hell is going on?" Daniel shouted, approaching her. Linda barely glanced up, flipping a page on her clipboard with the casual calm of someone reviewing grocery items. "Good morning, Mr. Hale," she said with that polished, performative tone she used during HOA meetings. "Per the scheduled correction, we are removing non-compliant structures on your property." "Non-compliant what?" Daniel looked at her as if she'd lost her mind. "That's my house," Linda tisked softly, tapping her pen against the clipboard. "Your front porch extends 32 inches beyond the approved architectural design submitted when this home was built. This was addressed in the notice sent 2 months ago." "I never got a notice," Daniel snapped. "We posted one on your door," she replied coolly. "You must have overlooked it." Daniel felt a surge of anger so sharp it made his vision pulse. Even if that were true, even if there was some issue with porch dimensions, that doesn't give you the right to bring a bulldozer into my yard and destroy my property. It's perfectly within HOA bylaws, she said. Section 14A, Structure Modification Compliance. If the homeowner refuses to correct a violation within a set period, we are authorized to take direct action. That action does not include destroying my damn house, Daniel roared. Linda sighed as if he were being dramatic. "Mr. Hale, resisting HOA enforcement will result in additional fines. I strongly recommend you step back and let the process complete." The bulldozer's engine revved again, louder this time. The blade lifted, angling upward toward the living room wall. Daniel's stomach twisted. That was the wall where his grandfather's framed medals hung, where the family photos were, where his late father's watch sat on a shelf. If the bulldozer connected with that wall, years of memories would be gone in seconds. Daniel didn't think. He acted. He ran toward the machine, signaling frantically. "Cut it! Cut the engine or I swear—" Still nothing. The operator kept his eyes straight, hands firm on the controls. Daniel slapped his badge from his belt and held it high in the air like a flare. "Police! Cut the engine now!" The reaction was immediate. The bulldozer wobbled slightly as the operator startled. His head whipped toward Daniel. The engine sputtered as he hesitated. Then finally, mercifully, the blade stopped mid-rise. The machine idled. Linda's sunglasses slipped down her nose as she stared at the badge. "Officer?" she repeated, the word sounding sour in her mouth. "You never mentioned you were in law enforcement." Daniel stepped closer, voice low, controlled and firm, the tone he reserved for suspects on the verge of doing something stupid. "You are illegally demolishing private property," he said. "You are trespassing. And you are endangering the life and possessions of a law-abiding homeowner." Linda's jaw twitched. "We followed HOA protocol." "No," Daniel said, inching forward. "You followed whatever power trip fantasy you've been running this neighborhood with." The bulldozer operator cut the engine fully. Silence washed over the street, eerie and sudden, broken only by the ticking of the cooling machine. Daniel climbed onto the side step of the bulldozer. "You! Step out of the vehicle slowly!" The operator raised both hands placatingly. "Sir, the HOA hired us, said everything was approved." "It wasn't," Daniel said sharply. "Turn off the ignition and get down." He looked genuinely relieved as he nodded and complied. Daniel's pulse was pounding. His house, his safe place, the only constant in his chaotic career, was torn open. Pieces of wood lay scattered like debris from a storm. His porch was half gone. His fence looked like it had been chewed up by a monster. He turned back to Linda. "You're done," he said quietly. "Whatever you think gives you authority stops right here." Linda lifted her chin defiantly, though her voice trembled. I followed procedure. My paperwork is valid." "Good," Daniel replied, "because you're going to show me all of it. And if even one line is forged, fraudulent, or unauthorized, you'll be answering to more than HOA members." For the first time, Linda seemed rattled. She clutched her clipboard tighter, as though the papers inside might shield her. Daniel scanned the damage again, the weight of it sinking into his bones. His house was broken, his trust in his own neighborhood shattered. And the people responsible were standing right in front of him, pretending to hold authority they never had. He took a slow breath. "They didn't know I was a cop," he muttered under his breath. "But they're about to find out what that means." By noon, the quiet suburban street that normally hosted kids on bikes and neighbors walking dogs had transformed into something out of a crime drama. Police cruisers lined the curb, lights spinning in slow, steady circles. Patrol tape stretched across Daniel's yard. Curious residents gathered in clusters, whispering, pointing, recording everything with their phones as if the neighborhood had suddenly become a live news set. Daniel stood near what used to be his porch, now reduced to jagged planks and scattered shards. He had already spoken to 2 officers, given statements, and directed them to secure the bulldozer as evidence. The shock of the morning still lingered in his body, but now that adrenaline had faded, a colder, sharper purpose settled in his veins. Detective Ruiz approached him. "The bulldozer operator is shaken but cooperative. He says he was hired directly by the HOA president." Daniel rubbed his jaw. "Yeah, that sounds about right." "Thing is," Ruiz continued, glancing toward Linda, who stood stiffly near the sidewalk, "the operator says she told him the property was foreclosed. That's why he didn't question the demolition order." Foreclosed. The word hit Daniel like a physical blow. "That's a lie," Daniel said, his voice steady but cold. "Oh, I know." Ruiz gave a tight nod. "We're about to find out how deep the lie goes." Across the yard, Linda Marsh stood surrounded by 2 officers. Her arms were wrapped around that clipboard like it was a life vest. Every few minutes, she tried to regain composure, brushing her hair behind her ear as though she still wanted to appear collected, authoritative, in control. But there was no disguising the fear creeping into her posture. Daniel stepped toward her, a folder tucked under his arm. Inside were the HOA filings he had retrieved earlier, documents he suspected were forged. He wanted to confront her with proof, not accusations. As he approached, the crowd leaned in subtlety. They weren't hiding their curiosity anymore. Linda saw him coming and stiffened. "Officer Hale," she greeted sharply, as if pretending nothing was wrong might erase the bulldozer tracks carving through his yard. "I trust the situation will be resolved shortly. The HOA board will review the—" He held up a hand. "Save it." She shut her mouth. "I pulled the records," Daniel said, flipping open the folder. "The demolition order you issued, the one you claimed was approved by the board?" Linda straightened. "Of course. All decisions go through the board." "Funny," Daniel said, removing the top sheet and holding it up for her to see, "because this signature right here belongs to board member Samuel Ellison." He tapped the bottom of the page. "Who has been dead for 3 years. Gasps echoed behind him from the gathering neighbors. Someone whispered, "No way." Another muttered, "This is insane." Linda's mouth parted slightly, but she recovered quickly, too quickly. I'm sure this is a misunderstanding. The signature must have been pre-approved before his passing. Documents can be stored. Don't. Daniel's voice cut through her excuse like a blade. I've seen forged signatures before. This is one of them. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. He pulled out the next page from the folder. And this invoice? The one showing payment to the demolition contractor? It wasn't paid through the HOA account. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a lethal calm. It was paid in cash. Withdrawn from your personal bank. Linda's face drained of all color. The murmurs rose to a new level. Several neighbors raised their phones higher, capturing every second. Others nodded at Daniel, showing support, relief, vindication. But, she stammered, taking a small step back, the property was in violation. No. Daniel closed the folder with a soft final snap. My property wasn't in violation. You targeted me. Linda blinked rapidly. That's false. Everything was done by the book. Daniel nodded slowly, eyes never leaving hers. You want to know what the real problem is, Linda? He pointed toward his half-destroyed home. You didn't think anyone would question you. You didn't think someone in this neighborhood would have the ability or the authority to fight back. He leaned in. You definitely didn't expect them to be a cop. Her jaw trembled now. She clutched the clipboard tighter, knuckles white. An officer stepped forward. Ma'am, we're going to need you to answer a few questions. Linda whipped toward the officer, panic sharpening her voice. You have no right to detain me. I'm the HOA president. I represent the community. You represented yourself, Daniel corrected, not the HOA. These actions weren't approved. Everything you did today was unauthorized and illegal. The officer reached for her wrist. Linda Marsh, you are being detained for fraud and destruction of property pending further investigation. When the cuffs clicked around her wrists, Linda let out a strangled sound. Not quite a scream, not quite a sob. This is a mistake. You don't understand. I was trying to protect the community standards. You were trying to protect your ego, Daniel said quietly. As the officers guided her toward the patrol car, the crowd broke into whispers again. Some people shook their heads, others exchanged looks of disbelief, and a few, those who had been victims of Linda's petty HOA crusades, allowed themselves small, satisfied smiles. One neighbor, Mrs. Patel, approached Daniel with her hands clasped. Officer Hale, I am so sorry. She's been out of control for months. We all knew something was off, but we didn't think she'd go this far. Daniel softened. Thank you. I appreciate it. Another neighbor chimed in. If you need help rebuilding, just say the word. We're all with you. One by one, people voiced similar support, offers of help, sympathy, outrage. For the first time since the chaos began, Daniel felt a warmth return to his chest, a sense of community he thought he'd lost to the HOA's tyranny. He turned toward the wreckage of his home. The damage was overwhelming, heartbreaking, but not hopeless. He exhaled slowly. We'll rebuild, he murmured, piece by piece. Behind him, Linda was being loaded into the back of the police cruiser, her sunglasses knocked slightly askew, her once confident posture reduced to collapsed fear. As the door shut and the vehicle pulled away, Daniel watched calmly. She didn't know I was a cop, he whispered, but she knows now.